you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Well, today is International Mother Tongue Day, and the theme for this year is Language Matters. So that's what we're discussing right now. February 21 marks International Mother Tongue Day, a global observance dedicated to celebrating and preserving linguistic diversity. Initiated by UNESCO in 1999, the day highlights the importance of maintaining indigenous languages, many of which face extinction due to the dominance of global languages like English. Languages are not only tools for communication, but also vital carriers of culture and identity. However, nearly 40% of the world's population lacks education in their native language, which can hinder access to learning and cultural expression. This year's theme is Language Matters, and it calls for greater efforts to protect endangered languages and support mother tongue education. By promoting linguistic diversity, we ensure that the future generations can connect with their cultural heritage while fostering greater global understanding. And joining us this morning is Professor Helen Bodunde. She's a professor of communication and teaching English as a second language at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, FUNAB. Good morning, Ma. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Fantastic. So right now we're talking about, Mother Tongue Day, Language Matters. This theme, the theme for this year is Language Matters. And, I'm one of those people that cannot probably speak very well when it comes to my own indigenous language. I am Robo, by the way, but it's something that we've seen, most our generation right now, we're not really looking at learning that, because most times we're always focused on English, which is the thing that is being communicated to us in schools. But for you right now, today, which is the 21st of February, is a day to highlight certain things. How has it been in your own experience, looking back at how language used to be preserved and now maybe not so much?
Thank you very much. I think it's a pleasure being on your TV.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, the issue of language is a sensitive thing. And unfortunately, in most climes, language is not taken very seriously. When we were growing up, you had to learn, of course, we have what we call language acquisition, and we also have what we call language learning. Language acquisition, this is the one that you acquire effortlessly, particularly your mother tongue. This is the language that you are exposed to at home, and so that one, you acquire it. And we have the acquisition period. That's why in a community, when a child stays there, without much effort, he learns the language and he speaks the language. But in those years, apart from learning your own language, you also learn other languages. But one particular thing is the fact that at the primary school, that language, you learn using that language. Of course, we also have, over time, we discover that learning the indigenous language, particularly in early education, one way or the other, has been jettisoned. And so that's why we have the problem, we have in our country, Nigeria. And if you know the origin of the celebration that we are doing today, it was a group of people who thought that they were being marginalized, particularly when their language at that time was the most spoken. They discovered that they were not given the opportunity, to use that language. And however, that the language that is not that popular, that is less spoken, was taken as the national language. That's in Bangladesh. That's the origin of what we are celebrating today. So language matter is a serious one, and that is why it cannot be taken carelessly. Of course, in Nigeria, that attempt had been made to make sure that when a child goes to school, the first 3 years, you will have to learn in the mother tongue. It was on paper, because the language policy, first designed 1977, 81, over the years. But if you go to most primary schools now, is when you get there is the English straight that is being used. So it's a serious matter. Our research has shown that when you learn in your mother tongue, learning other languages will not be a problem. So that's why even learning English is a serious matter now. Those who learned it in the past, who were given opportunity to learn with their mother tongue first, we could see that the way in which the learn English language is actually better than what we are doing today. And it is a deprivation when a particular person cannot use the mother tongue, cannot speak the mother tongue. It's a deprivation. Because if an individual can speak 2 or 3 languages, it has its advantages.
Yeah.
So making one to just speak one language alone is a deprivation.
That's right.
And so, yes, and when you speak 3 languages, automatically you acquire the culture of those 3 languages, so you become a more robust person. And that's what we are missing today.
Yeah, from what you're saying, what I gather is, it actually helps for children now when they learn their mother tongue first. It actually helps their cognitive development and even academic performance, because now, like you said, you can even learn other languages as well, which is great. But you also mentioned the fact that, something was being passed whereby you have to learn with your mother tongue first before anything else. But I know that, especially when I went to secondary school, I don't know if it still happens now, when I went to secondary school, that's when they start to teach you these languages, and most times it's just the 3 major languages in Nigeria. So they tell you have to learn either Igbo, Yoruba, or Hausa. So not even your own mother tongue where you're from. So why do you think that the Nigerian government is not taking this up, knowing that we're not English people, we just use this as our legal franca, and we still need to have that our own indigenous language whereby it shows who we are as a people? Why is the Nigerian government not making sure that this cause is being championed right now? And what would you do to ensure that, or what would you love to see when it comes to policies that are being put in place?
Yes, I was trying to mention it the other time. You know what? There is a policy. The policy was put together by those who are really highly educated and those who understand the importance of language issues in learning. And at that particular time, the policy came out in 1981, where the mother tongue, when you talk of mother tongue, it's not English, Yoruba, and Hausa alone. We have the mother tongue. That mother tongue should be used to learn in primaries 1 to 3. It was assumed at that time that from home, if a child gets to the school immediately and you start using English to teach that child, there's going to be a trauma, the stress of switching from the language at home to that of the school. So it was in that, it's still in that policy that from primaries 1 to 3, the child should learn in the mother tongue. So it's not that the government is not aware. The government is aware, but the problem is that they have not put in place the machineries to make it work. Now, when you talk of mother tongue, in a particular class, you can have 4 different mother tongues there. That's why they say, okay, language of immediate community. They say mother tongue or language of immediate community. For instance, let's take Lagos. Lagos is a metropolitan city. And so in a class in Ajegunle, you can imagine the number of mother tongues that will be there. How will that teacher handle the mother tongue of every pupil in the class? And so the language of immediate community under that situation should be Yoruba. Now, for a teacher to teach in that place, it means that he should be able to speak Yoruba very well. Then he should be able to understand the mother tongues of the pupils in that class, so that even when Yoruba is used to teach them, occasionally he might code switch to make sure that he interprets in the mother tongue of those people. I'm sure you'll be surprised when we talk about teaching English as a second language. It's a second language in Nigeria.
All right, ma'am.
So it means that if you are even teaching English, you must be able to understand some of the mother tongues of the pupils that you are teaching your students.
Yeah.
So that when they have problem, you'll be able to interpret. And you'll be able to know, okay, how, if they are learning a particular, let's say they are learning a particular vowels or consonants, how do we pronounce these consonants in Yoruba language?
Yeah.
Then, is there any language interference? Then you'll be able to sort it out and you'll be able to teach them appropriately.
Fantastic. So let's talk policies. What would you love the government to do right now? Because it seems like this policy is there, but execution is the problem. How would you want them to execute this?
Yes, I think what they need to do, one, there should be retraining of teachers, the teachers in schools, so that one, they understand the different languages that we have, and particularly allow people in a particular region or community to handle the issue, to teach in those communities, so that they will be able to use the languages of that community well. Or schools could also, be put together according to the various languages, using in the community. If this is done, obviously there will be an improvement. Then they should also provide things that will be used for teaching to make this possible, because it was tried in Ife before by late Professor Fafunwa, where Yoruba was used to teach the pupils in Ife at that time. And the success of that story was the fact that specialists were taken to handle all the subjects in the curriculum. Yoruba was used to teach all the subjects in the curriculum except the English language. And even the English language specialists were brought to teach that language so that there will be no limitation. And the outcome of that experiment was that it was a success. So
fantastic.
If this one is adopted, hopefully the improvement will be there.
Yeah, and I think, that's where the role
of
digital technologies, sorry, Ma, we've run out of time, but I'm just going to ask you this final question. In 1 minute, how can we start to encourage the younger generation? Because it seems like these languages are becoming extinct, because where we are right now, we're all looking at English language, right? Especially in Nigeria, we're using Nigeria as a case study. So how can we start to encourage the younger generation to, embrace their own native languages, embrace their own mother tongue in a westernized, globalized world that we live in right now?
It should start right from the home. In most homes now, parents don't speak the mother tongue. They speak English to their children because they feel that you can measure success by the ability to speak the English language. And you discover that it is a deprivation, like I said earlier. At a time now when you want those children to speak the mother tongue, it becomes too late. So parents should speak this language, to their children at home.
Fantastic.
And it will not deprive them of learning English. In fact, they will learn English better. So I think it's better. Then even within the community, we must have, just like we are doing now, we must have a language day where you bring the people in the community together. And we are not saying that one should learn his mother tongue alone. You can learn other languages. It makes you a robust and a better person.
Thank you so much for that. I've even seen some videos of people in the diaspora where they're speaking their native language to their children. When they go to school, they learn English. When you come home, is the native language. And I think that's something that, most people should start to adopt right now. We want to say thank you so much for coming, Professor Helen. It's been a pleasure having you on our show. Thank you, Ma, for your time.
You're welcome.
Have a wonderful
Thank you.
day. Yes, ma'am.
And I wish you a happy Mother Tongue Day.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're speaking with Professor Helen Bodunde. She's a professor of communication and teaching English as a second language at the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, FUNAB. And we've just been celebrating International Mother Tongue Day, and the theme for this year is Language Matters. So the charge for you is to ensure that you're learning your own indigenous language and also making sure that you're passing it down to your children, whereby our languages are not extinct. All right, that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for having the breakfast with me. My name is Rume Paulson. I'll see you again on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Good morning.